Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Map Making with Sparks. We are currently in a little survival single player test world, and I'm very disappointed. Let me just get a range of these dragons, they're very loud. I'm very disappointed. I've got two dragons here. They're riding with a skull so that they can't move, and they have different names. The one on the left is called Docile Dancing Dragon, you can see here, custom named Docile Dancing Dragon, and the one on the right is called Daredevil Dragon. And I was really hoping that whichever one I was closer to, that name would appear on my screen. Because that way we could have had players playing up here, where you can't hear the wings, and summoning, teleporting the Wither Skull that the dragon is riding just below them, and that way the closest dragon would always be the dragon directly underneath them, and therefore we would be able to, you know, display different scoreboard bar things for each player, but it doesn't seem to work. Teleporting them sideways isn't going to work either, I don't think, because then other dragons might be closer to you. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. We can try Wither Skulls, but I'm not Wither Skulls, Withers. But I have a feeling we're going to get the same sort of problem. Well, summoning a Wither doesn't seem to work at all. They just sink. They don't appear to stay on the skull, which is kind of weird. Huh. Alright, well, it seems that we still got the same problem. The Withers are... firstly, they're still sinking into the void, which is not good. Hence, they've now vanished. But it looks like the latest to spawn has its health shown. Which I'm kind of surprised about. I thought it would be the closest one to you. I'm sad now. So I guess the question is... Is anybody thinking that I'm doing something wrong here? Because that would have been awesome if we could have summoned Ender Dragons and just teleported them underneath each player, and then each player would have their own dragon, and that was the only dragon they'd see. I'm kind of sad that doesn't work, because I thought it would. But without further ado, let's head off into the Mineathon server. We are on with Logstone, who was helping me do some testing earlier. And... yeah, loads of comments and feedback and suggestions from the last episode. It looks like a lot of people have ideas. A lot of people have tried this themselves. So it looks like we're going to be good on getting feedback. And oh no, I stood on it. I keep doing that. We're going to be good on getting ideas and help, which is great because I like to involve you guys. That is not what I wanted to do at all. Why are these all here? Oh, it's the particles. Right. Never mind. Distraction over. So, let me quickly turn this on. Damn blocks. Okay. So, a lot of people were suggesting, if I quickly get a chest, that I set, when a person is standing still, because the problem we were having last episode was that if you're standing still, you're not solid. Congratulations, you just reached a higher attack level. Why, thank you. Logstone is currently experimenting. So the idea was to set blocks some glass inside somebody, because I have no hitbox right now. If somebody walked into me, I would be an walk-throughable crafting bench. So what people said was, if you set some glass inside yourself, you wouldn't, you'd have a hitbox. And that is true. However, if you look, you get this Z fighting, which is very unfortunate. I have a texture pack, but this is still the case. Logstone was playing around with it with me earlier, and he was getting Z fighting. He has the traditional Minecraft texture pack. Let me switch to it a second. There we go. We've got even more of a problem here because we've got the lines which are removed from my texture pack. So that I don't think is going to work. So we set about, and that's what all these plant pots and things around here are for. We set about trying to find a way, find a block which was smaller than a regular block and had a hitbox. And we were playing around with all sorts of things. Oh god, this looks really weird in the lower resolution texture pack. Let me change it back a second. Faithful 32, you make my life just that little bit less low resolution. So we were going through all of the blocks trying to find... Is this the all blocks tab? No, it's not. We were going through all of the blocks trying to find something that was smaller than a regular block but had a full hitbox, and we didn't find anything. The closest we got was cake. If I set some cake... There is cake inside this inside this crafting bench. You cannot see it. However, cake... If I just quickly... Oh, man. It's hard to steer in this setting. Let me place the block. Come on. There we go. Right. The cake has like a half slab hitbox. So that's the closest we got with that. The other thing we were playing around with was chests. I am currently standing inside a chest. And all of the sides look perfect except for this side here with the latch, because the latch sticks out just the teensiest bit, and that is very sad. So we were very sad about this for a while, because this has, you know, chests have a pretty much completely full hitbox, and then we came up with this idea. So once again, I'm stood inside a chest, but this time you can't see the chest at all, and this is perfect because there's a chest there, and the chest has a hitbox, and it's all good. Because what I'm doing now is, over here in our, this is the command which is summoning the falling sand that looks like a crafting table at a location. Usually we set this to just equal that, but if we set it to 0.04, it is moved a 32ndth of a block sideways, which means it's now slightly offset, just enough to cover the latch, which is a 32ndth of a block wide. And that's great, you know, that's really cool, because suddenly we have this chest, which is going to hide everything for us. And then we realize that if you are standing against a wall, you are not flush. Can you see how the crafting table sticks out slightly on one side and is indented on the other? It's not so noticeable. Actually, it's more noticeable in this direction. If you look, there's a gap on one side and there's Z fighting on the other. So for a while we were like, yes, we've got it working. It's going to be great. And then we spotted that slight flaw, which I'm very sad about. So still not sure what we're doing about that, to be honest. If it's... What is that doing? If it's a... if you're playing something like a torch... then there's no problem, because you can stand inside it and it'll be fine. But for solid blocks, we still haven't found a good solution. A lot of you had great suggestions. A lot of you suggested the glass idea. I think it was, in principle, in theory, a very great idea, and I'm surprised I didn't think of it. But yeah, the other thing that a lot of people suggested was this. So what people were suggesting was that we summon a wither skull with falling sand riding it. Now, wither skulls are invisible, but you can see there's a bit of a problem. The wither skull summons the falling sand, and then the sand vanishes. Now, the skull is actually still there. If I do, say, at entity radius equals 5, you can see there's quite a few wither skulls still left over. But the sand doesn't stay. And I thought it was going to be a great idea, because we wouldn't have to summon the falling sand all the time. It could just sit on top of a wither skull, and we could teleport that around. And I didn't know until just now whether that would work or not. I mean, here's my command. If you're a redstone summoning genius and you can see I'm doing something wrong, pause the video and read it and let me know, because there are many smart minds out there. But it looks to me like it's not going to be possible. I could probably ask Logstone about it, actually. Let's see if we can get him in a call a second.
Sparkle.
Hey, Logstone.
Hello.
I'm just recording a little bit of a thing, and I have a question for you. Because
you're a robot, so I think we have to restart the call.
Okay. You call me.
Okay. Here we go.
Hello? Am I still a robot?
No.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, I'm recording, and I have a question which you might be able to answer. People were suggesting that I summon a wither skull with falling sand riding it, so that we don't have to keep summoning falling sand. And when I do it, the falling sand appears for a moment and then it's gone, but the wither skull remains. And I'm wondering whether I'm doing it wrong or whether you just can't do that.
You can't do that because falling sand has a life. It has a time tag. It counts up every tick, and at about 4,000, I believe, it despawns. So it
Okay, so
despawns after 4,000 ticks,
it would.
unless you put it inside a Block 36. But that doesn't work if it's riding a Wither. So
So if I set the time to 4,000, it'll hang around for a little bit.
yeah.
It does.
Well, if you set it to 4,000, it will disappear instantly.
I did set it to 4,000 and it's fine. It was at 0 before because that's what you usually do. Time
Yeah,
4,000.
zero means that it has to despawn instantly because
Oh, there it goes. Go on.
zero, it's checking for um, if you have a zero and you put it inside a block, it makes that block falling and it removes the block.
Mhm.
If you set it to one, it will stay and it will not disappear instantly. So and it will. I'm just looking it up for you right now. Uh,
See, I set it to 5,000 and it kind of hangs around for a little while.
yeah, maybe because if you set it to one, it will stay longer. But I'm just looking at what ticket stops, what ticket disappears for you now.
Okay, cool. This
Um,
might be a bit less laggy than like summoning falling sand every 20th of a second.
yeah, I'm not sure though. I mean, it's the same like same amount of entities present. So
I suppose so, yeah. I don't really understand how commands affect lag, um, really. So I don't know. I've set it to 1 and it does hang out for a while, but I do remember that there is a limit, a countdown limit on falling sand to stop it falling
Mhm.
forever. So we'd probably have to refresh their wither skull every couple of seconds.
Yeah, it says here when time goes above 600.
Above 600.
Yeah, the entity is despawned.
That's weird because I can set it to 4,000 and it seems to hang around the same amount of time as if I put 1.
Well, I suppose because maybe it checks from when it was started because
Hmm.
it's above the tick that it's got deleted. So
Ah, interesting. So do you reckon it would be laggier or like better to refresh their wither skull every X seconds, or to just do the old method where we're summoning falling sand all the time?
I think either will do because the same amount for lag wise, because the same amount of entity is present and um,
Actually,
falling sand
there's
doesn't.
twice as many entities if we use a wither skull.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah,
Okay. Plus, it's going to be more complicated to replace them every X seconds. We'd have to add a clock, which would add lag. So
yeah.
it was a
I
viewer suggestion. I thought it was a good viewer suggestion, but it seems
No, it's
slightly
apparently not.
flawed.
It's not even. No.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for answering the question. I thought you might know
Yeah.
the answer. It's very useful.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. And I didn't crash the server doing it at all, which I'm pleased about because I've crashed it once, which is once too often.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Hmm. Okay. Well, looks like people weren't as silly as I thought. Well, I didn't think it was silly. I thought it was a great idea. But it looks like sadly the sand despawns. And as I was saying, if we just if we add a clock to refresh their wither skull every now and again, it's going to be adding lag because of the clock. So I think we're going to have to go with the falling sand method we already have, since it seems, well, it's actually using half the entities. Let's move on and do something else for today. If you're wondering why there's a huge tower, by the way, while I was playing around with this after the last episode, I was summoning different types of blocks at people's feet, and I tried to summon an Ender Dragon egg and mistyped it and put Ender Dragon F, like F, because F is right next to G on the British keyboard, and probably the American one as well. And so what happened was it crashed the server, and every time anybody got close to the system, it would try and summon another Dragon F. and crash the server. So since the block was set to a radius of 100, I had to teleport myself 100 blocks above the whole system, and then using trial and error, hit and miss, I was using set block to replace redstone blocks below me with air to try and delete the redstone block here that was running the command. And eventually I managed to get it, and then somebody built this tower here, so if it happens again, we can line ourselves up with the tower, and then we know we're above the command block. So, as you may remember from my first episode where I looked at how the game works, each map can take up to 24 players, and it's quite nice. In vanilla Minecraft, you can use signs to indicate sort of numbers, which is pretty sweet, I think. This is my temporary setup over here, so I've just got a command block clock running, and then I'm doing test for all people with a radius of 5. Now what we'll probably do is we'll have a scoreboard variable actually telling us who's in a game and who isn't, and then if there's somebody within the radius, it will change the text to 2, and if they aren't, it'll change the text to 0. Sorry, 1. The first one's 1. So I reckon this will be quite nice for our game selection screen. We do have an army of builders building maps and things for us, so it's quite possible that we will have more than one map, and I'm going to try and design this as much as possible to handle more than one game, should that happen, because obviously it's going to be a very big event. There's going to be lots of people playing, so the more maps we can have, I think the better. So since I'm all alone on the server, as it is now a bit of a jump cut in time, and it is 11:20 a.m. in England, and everybody else is asleep because they're American. Yeah, I'm all alone on the server, so I'm going to try and set up a bit of a demonstrative thing to do with these player indicators on signs, which are pretty sweet. We can potentially add colours to this sign as well later, so I'll just show you what that looks like. Okay, setup number 2. So this is basically just an extension of what I had before, but we now have test for and set blocks for every kind of thing. I've extended this, so this is testing for all entities within a range of 100, and through lack of friends, I'm going to summon some creepers. So we should see that once I put this creeper down, the sign will change to 2 or 3, or I can get rid of the creeper, and as soon as it falls into the void, it'll change back down to 2. And, you know, this is great for up to 16 players. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, one fell off. 12, 13, 14, 15. And 15 is as high as we can go with this method, because obviously redstone only travels 15 blocks. So this last one over here, which sets it to 16, is never going to trigger. And anything past that is never going to trigger. Got to be really careful doing kill on this server, because you don't want to kill things that aren't yours. So you have to put a radius in. Ah, come on. What did I do? I always do that. It's at E. It's at E. Much better. Okay, so that works for up to 16 players. And you might be saying, Sparks, how are you going to test for more people? And the beautiful answer to this is NBT tags. See, when there were 16 entities here, this test for command here was putting out... there's something called success count, basically, for command blocks. And I've used them before in Redstone. And the success count basically tells a comparator how strong the output signal is. And similarly, the comparator itself has an NBT tag telling it how much power it has in it. So even though redstone dust can only carry a maximum of 15 signal strength, the command block can have a very large count indeed, which can definitely stretch to 24. So what we can do is, rather than using redstone dust length to measure this out, we can do a test for and see which success count strength this command block here has, and work off of that. Ta-da! So this is This is a system which can detect up to 24 players and display that number onto this sign. There's currently one person here. If I put a creeper down, changes to 2, I can kill the creeper and it'll go back to 1. And the way that this works is that we still have our command block here testing for all entities within a radius of 100. And then each of these command blocks on this inner ring here, this is a hyper redstone clock. Each of these is going test for block, and then the location of this command block here that's doing the testing for players, and then it's checking to see if that block is a command block with a success count of 1, which means it's found 1 player, or 2, which means it's found 2 players, or 3, etc, 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 and we can go all the way up to 24 over here. Even though redstone can't carry that much strength, the success count does detect that many players. And over here we have 0, by the way, which is just sort of stuck on the end. So if I add a creeper, you can see that that comparator switches over, which means that we now have 6, 7, 8. Oh, get out of the way, creeper. 9. And the cool thing about this is that if a creeper dies, or if a player leaves, as it were, as he just has, we don't need that whole torch setup we had before. Torches cause particles and light updates and stuff, so I prefer this method, and we can go all the way up to 24. Should we feel the need to? What do we have here? 16, 17, 18. It's pretty fast as well. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 players. And if I go higher than that, nothing will happen, although we will limit the entry to 24 anyway, because that's how the game works. We also want to make sure that there's a minimum of 12 before the game starts. So this is kind of cool, you know. We have decided, by the way, that most of the redstone is going to be going in the spawn chunks, and that's this area here, for 2 reasons. First of all, if redstone is not loaded in by the player, and it's just in the spawn chunks, it causes less lag because there's no particles being generated. And the other reason is just that it looks cool to have all of this redstone together in one place. It's going to be good for advertising the charity event, things like that, which I've been doing quite a bit of. We have a website now, mineathon.com, which you can go check out if you're interested. I spent 48 sleepless hours building that website quickly for the event, and yeah, things are going well generally for the charity. We've been in talks with a lot of YouTubers, a lot of celebrities who don't do YouTube but just want to get involved and help out. We've been discussing things with news stations, server hosting providers. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, well, you know, we don't want to promise anything that I don't want to promise anything that turns out to be just a false hope. But you know, closer to the time, I'm sure I'll be able to mention things, and I think the Mineathon Charity website will have more information on it. I keep saying charity, we're a fundraiser, not a charity, but you know. So yeah, that's kind of interesting idea for the signs. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but that seems to me like a good way. I know that in this snapshot you can use NBT, you can use the Telraw stuff to insert names into commands. Does anybody know if you can use Telraw to put numbers into a sign based on a scoreboard value? Because that would make this tiny, but I don't know if you can do that. I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'm sorry it took so long to get it out. I was busy making that website, as I said. I'm not just building a map for this fundraising event. I'm doing quite a bit of the organising of it as well. So, again, feedback, suggestions. Do you know of a better way of doing this sign thing? Do you have any suggestions at all? Let me know, because I love reading your comments. And I will see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.